Halo star Pablo Schreiber defends series awful writing. Quote, I think the subverting of expectations is what makes it interesting.
I feel like this article might have an angle.
No, it does. No. Okay, well, I'm going to point it out. Like, first of all, if you follow any of the media in these realms, bounding into comics would be what I would call anti-woke / center-right in their stance. Very much in the realm of like I don't know, what would be a comparison to that, like a news or like a New York Post.
Almost. Not New York Post.
I think they're more slanted than TMZ.
Okay, Daily Mail is probably maybe one of the closest comparisons.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've started to notice, it's not super connected, like more outlets putting out articles that are favorable. Like there was one in MovieWeb, which is a site that I use for news on a frequent basis. It's like top 10 conservative actors. And I'm like, I can't. What am I having a stroke right now?
Yeah, what's happening?
Like it's very weird. So it says, if you weren't already clear from this, from simply watching any amount or reading any of our coverage of what may be one of the greatest insults in the history of video game adaptations, Master Chief actor Pablo Schreiber has revealed that the production team behind the Halo television series cared so little for the actual source material that they approached the beloved military sci-fi franchise with the intention of subverting expectations.
Yikes.
Now, Dane already knows that we've talked about how they did not read the source material, but there's a difference between not like reading the source material and doing what is, quote, choosing to do it because you think you're going to subvert their expectations. And I would argue that what they're doing now is literally the opposite of that. When you do it with an established property, it's literally what we're expecting. So by attempting to be subversive, you're almost unintentionally not being so.
Dearest Brett, may I read a quote?
Yes.
Take it away.
The goal of the first season was to break down the character Master Chief and change the relationship between the gamer, who is the usual audience of the Master Chief, and shift the relationship between he and the Chief. First off, incredibly poorly written sentence.
Yes.
As you can
I
imagine.
hope they were saying that out loud.
Yes.
It made more sense.
Yeah.
Poorly thought out sentence then.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I'm reading these articles, like the things that are spoken are really hard to translate. Like I'm my reading's horrible anyways, but a lot of times like the translated words just don't.
Or when people cut themselves off
Yeah.
mid-sentence. I guess what they're trying to say is we were just trying to screw up the relationship between the audience and the Master Chief.
My thing is, how would you know if you never played the game? They're like, oh, we're going to try to redefine it. Hey,
I haven't even played it.
Try defining it.
Yeah, I would do
you
that first.
freaking idiot. Like, you don't even know.
There's some really interesting stuff in here that I think they kind of directly correlates, or like they go like he kind of like negates his own words. It says the goal of the first season was to break down the character of Master Chief and change the relationship between the gamer, who is the usual audience of the Master Chief, and shift the relationship between he and the Chief. He explained. It says, because obviously if you're playing a first-person shooter, your relationship to him is quite different than that of an audience member or a major television show, right? He elaborated in the follow-up. So the process of the first season was attempting to humanize this character that had never been humanized before. So to that end, we put him in a situation with it where his memory's erased. He got these emotional pellets that inhibit him from his emotional life that he takes out in the beginning in its process of him discovering his humanity for the first time. So you're directly combating what the narrative of the game is.
Here's another brilliant quote from the Genius Minds. It's a first-person shooter, so you're not meant to know him.
Yes.
Oh, it's almost as if this person is denying the fact that there's whole hours and segments where Master Chief has dialogue with multiple people and his character develops and his thoughts and his opinions on issues are expressed.
Yeah. Yeah, he says, so you're not meant to know him, like you say. He says, you're meant to fill in all the subtleties and aspects of his personality with your own. That's the way the character is designed, so that's the big challenge of turning the IP into a television show. Then stop trying to turn IP into television show.
What a novel idea.
If you're not going to, if the idea is that you're going to make something unique, then you can subvert expectations. But people, when you go into a movie that's been either made from a book or a comic book or something like that, usually, and comics are a little bit different, and I think that's why Hollywood loves it, is because there's so much material. If you go in and watch a movie based on a book that you love, you don't go into it looking to have your expectations subverted. You go into it aware of where the differences will be in the movie as opposed to the book.
Well, supposedly the purpose of making a book that is consumed very like personally into something visual that a lot of people consume together.
Yeah.
It's to enhance the story.
Yep.
It's to give you things that you didn't imagine, you weren't able to imagine in your own head.
Right.
But I feel like this shows that because the people producing TV shows and movies now have such a disdain for the audience.
A huge amount of disdain for the audience.
Nothing can come from that except for destroying something, not creating something. You can only twist what's already been made, not make something new.
And this is like an example of like, so I was a literature major for my bachelor's degree, completely useless, but like that's a point completely entirely separate. And you know, there be a huge joke among literature majors. It's like, didn't read the story, led classroom discussion. And this is literally that.
Yep.
They're like, we didn't read it. We don't want to read it. We don't care to read it. Here's how we transformed the whole genre that we didn't know of.
This sounds like Subversion.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, he talks about, he says, in terms of working on the character and my process of it, I think a huge part of the research and all of that was figuring out was this guy was in all that was figuring out who this guy was in popular character, recounted Schreiber. What it is he represents, what are the expectations that people are going to have coming in, and how we can simultaneously fulfill those expectations, but more importantly, subvert those expectations.
You can't do both.
The word importantly is the most important part there. Okay, so another thing that one of the strongest signs of vanity from artistic types, especially in these industries, is when they love the idea of like they create the thing you didn't know you needed, right? So it's like,
isn't that the point of marketing, is to create a need?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, but for this, the reason they love these franchises is because the name has built-in marketing value. Mm-hmm. So they want both the freedom of creating a new property by abandoning all the expectations that would come with an original property, but all the name recognition and money that comes behind having a character that millions upon millions of people like. And then when those things clash, they're surprised when people are upset. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really funny because he said more importantly, subverting those expectations, which means that being faithful to any sort of level of the material was never important to them. And that should tell you how they feel about this stuff. And there was also the thing, remember, Dane, the guy who created it said, I don't know what the inspiration for this was, but this isn't my Halo. And then he had to like qualify and be like, I didn't say it wasn't good. I'm just saying that, like it's just not like what I made.
Well, I don't want to commit the same sin that they did in creating the show because I haven't seen it and I don't know how. I haven't played the game either, so I don't know how closely they stuck to the source material.
The visuals, visually, there's a lot of callback from what I understand. Like a lot of the visuals match up with the gameplay, right? But the characterization and everything else is completely off. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because then you go to this movie that I just had you guys watch the trailer of called The Gray Man. Yep. So this is, as far as I know, if this is based on anything other than the term Gray Man, which I know is in spy lore, that's a term in spy literature, but I don't know it to be a property that was already there. And if it was, it certainly wasn't to the level of Halo because everyone knows what Halo is. Very few people would know what the Gray Man is. And this is a movie that's coming out from Netflix and the Russo brothers. And it is very much, I guess you could say, if you were being cynical, derivative of the spy genre. But because you're not attached to the original characters that would be like a James Bond or a Mission Impossible or a Jason Bourne, they can do whatever they want.
The distinction is that it is a genre. It's not one distinctive video
property,
game or
exactly.
book.
So this movie has Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, and thank you, Ana de Armas, and also Jessica Henwick. Jessica Henwick and Ana de Armas are very, very, they're fantastic actresses, and obviously Gosling and Evans, whatever your opinions are on Evans, Gosling and Evans have very strong reputations in the industry. But if they were to take this movie around, and this trailer is basically, it's kind of portrayed as like a Catch Me If You Can spy thriller where Ryan Gosling is like on the run from Chris Evans, who's supposed to be the bad guy with his porn stash and his he's kind of channeling this weird like Jim Carrey-esque nature and how it's really
Come
interesting.
on, not everyone with a stash has a porn.
No, it's
stash.
not that. It's
pretty.
If you look at the scene where he dropped, there's a scene where he, like Ryan Gosling drops like a grenade right in front of him, and Evans makes a face that I can only say is like a Jim Carrey face. But if they were to take these two characters and completely sideline them for Jessica Henwick and Ana de Armas, you could theoretically still do that well, and you're going to get more leeway from people like me because it's not based on something where people's expectations are for a certain type of product.
Exactly.
And also these like marketing terms are so empty. Like subvert expectations. What expectation are you subverting, sir? How would you know what expectations it sets if you never experienced the medium or cared to? So it's like they're just using buzzwords. It's like these marketing people that's like, well, actually, I optimized the SEO and then look closely at the SEM and it's like you're just saying words, dude. Like you're not like this is not a sentence.
Yeah. And I will say, like, there's something to be said that there is an art to adapting screenplays from source material that requires you to both be faithful to the origins of the story while making changes. Usually, you try to find a realm where this translates well on paper but does not translate on film. Tends to be done in dialogue-heavy scenes. How you write for literature is not how you write for screenplay.
Right.
J.K. Rowling proves that every time she tries to write for screenplay. She can't do it. So it's like there is an art to doing that. But when they're talking about it, they're not talking about anything so deep. They're just talking about make it whammon, make it bold, make it brave, make it stunning, and go on with social identity politics. Well, that's what they did in the Halo TV series. The reason I got so mad is because it's like why not the space opera, and it's like there's the one lady who I just couldn't get over how not believable she was in this role. It's like you can do that role, but if you like, I think the last example is like hire Gina Carano to do that. I'll buy it. Hire like a lady in her 50s or 60s to do this role. I don't buy it at all. And it's done purely for the sake of identity politics. You don't need to do that. All you need to do is adapt something. Yeah, right there.
I'm like covered in stink bugs. I'm losing my mind. I'm sorry.
Now she knows what it's like for us up here.
Horrible.
Now she knows what it's like for us up here.
I just touched my hair, and there was a stink bug in my hair, and then there was one on my neck.
It's going to keep happening, too. The other day, one was like right here. It was not flinching was like my biggest accomplishment.
Now you guys are making me paranoid.
So it's like, I just don't know what else they want from the audience when they say, like, if you're making original stuff, Knives Out was a Rian Johnson movie that was actually good.
Yeah.
But he just can't do Star Wars because you can't apply the same rules to Knives Out that you can to doing Star Wars. I don't know why this is so hard to understand. Like, it's not the actor's fault. It's the actors are just doing their job. Pablo Schreiber is actually a really talented actor. If you guys, he's got a full season arc in season 2 of The Wire as like the son of like a stevedore, like a dock worker.
Oh, interesting.
And it's about the cult or the decline of the working class, and he does a very, very good job in that role. So it's not his fault, and how they approach their job is very different from how we approach watching these things. It's even when we do this, right? Like how we approach making a podcast is not the same as how people who consume them would do that. So I understand that there's a disconnect in that realm, but at a certain point, I feel like they're actually making it harder on themselves than they need to.
Waffle Sensei makes a good point, which he rarely does, so I'm gonna read it.
Wow,
Mary, do you want to read the super chat?
Okay. He said they would have never had the ability to make this show without the hardcore fans. Weird flex to say you specifically wanted to subvert those fans.
Exactly.
For real, it's like you have a built-in audience and the recipe to make a ton of money over a long period of time, but for the sake of making it not like it was, that just seems like artistic arrogance to me.
I would like to draw attention to my favorite author and the 2 shows that have come about from different books that he wrote. The first is called The Watch. The author is Terry Pratchett. Now, The Watch is very woke. It's very different from the book. They tried to subvert expectations. They tried to make it about being misfits and like being different and unique and an outcast, whatever. That's not exactly what the book was about, and it is not true to the spirit of what Terry Pratchett was trying to convey. Terry Pratchett is functionally a libertarian in his writing. I am sure this show that got like 5.4 out of 10 stars was not reflective of his idea. The other show that they did everything in their power to make it exactly like the book, was called son of a gun, I forgot what it's called. Good Omens.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, I think you probably
the
seen
show
it.
on Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amazing show.
Yeah.
Very well done. And that's because it adheres to the source material. So not only is the show better, people loved it.
And you develop goodwill with the audience.
Right.
The people who don't know the material will like it.
Exactly.
And the people who do know the material will like it.
also like it too.
Why would you split it intentionally down the middle? That makes no sense.
I feel like people who like the source material will like you even more now that you've created a faithful adaptation and be more willing to listen to you.
Are they like addicted to the backlash?
They must
Do they like feeling like underdogs because these people are like overgrown theater kids?
They hate the audience. I truly,
yes.
Is that what it is? Like,
I truly
why
think
is this
that.
happening?
I go back and forth on the hate the audience part. I think it's less that they hate you. It's more that they overestimate their own abilities. And there's too much vanity.
I think they just really want to feel like tortured creatives when they're not.
There's a lot
creative
of
that. Yeah,
people.
They want to put their stamp on something that was built organically, and then they want to pick it up 3/4 of the way through and carry it into the end zone, which arguably they can't do because they don't have the creative chops of the people who created the original franchise.
here's an example of why they should appease like the people that actually like the franchise. Just an example that's played out in daily life. I'm a huge Survivor fan. I've been I've been annoying Brett all day.
It's like, I will not watch Survivor.
I will though.
On principle, I will not watch Survivor.
But you will. And and I've been like annoying Brett all day. It's because I love the series. Thus, I feel like I'm a great advocate for it. And with the Halo series, had it not been like She-Boss Master Chief is dead and now possessed by Whammon, I would have been like, Brett, you know, I love this game and I love this show, and like I would be insistent upon it. But like now, the audience is made for you who doesn't care, and somehow like the onus of proving that you like the show is on you towards me, and you're not gonna do it because I know the source material. And you can be like, no dude, it's great, they have, you know, they were, I don't know, they went to a women's march during a combat and they wear the thingy hats,
the pink
and
hats,
the pink hats,
Keyword hats.
yes.
Oddly enough, the area where you find the most honest recreation of these stories tends to be in the art in this art design. The costumes, the suits tends to be where you find the most attention to detail
Right,
paid.
because they don't have an ideological axe to grind.
He says. So Schreiber continues in the interview. Says that's crucial to making a good TV show. Oh, I'm just gonna read this whole thing over again. It says you can't have this guy who stays the same across a long haul in order to make a TV show that fits into the landscape of great television. To make a show that fits into the landscape of great television, you have to have a character arc. You have to have your character begin somewhere and end somewhere else. That's crucial to making a good TV show, the actor posited. And then I think that subverting expectations is what also makes it interesting. If you're going to show up and redo what's been done, give the people the experience of a video game, then what are you there for? So he's saying, again, that he wants all the benefit of the source material as far as bringing people in, but then why would you make it the same? Then why adapt anything at all?
Why?
The adaptation in and of itself accomplishes subverting your expectations because you're no longer the first person.
Literally.
Yes, exactly.
So
I feel like this is like where things are headed, is that the only redeeming quality is going to be how something looks, like how a movie or TV show looks, and the plot, the characters are not going to be at all part of the appeal.
Because modern writers can't write good characters. They don't know how to do so.
What does it say about our culture that this is something I have noticed, and I know we're going into the summer and it's going to be yet another, hey, I didn't jump that time. Good for me. It's going to be yet another summer of sequels because people are not coming up with new concepts. Andrew Clavin talks about this a lot. He's like, when you start to see movies lacking in creativity, it's a sign that the culture is like almost on the decline.
Yeah.
Like there's a lack or a fear of being creative almost, because they're like, well, if I push any boundaries,
yeah, that's a big part of it. Is like there's creative handcuffs on a lot of these people, and I don't think like my cynical side says that it's not that, it's that they're just not talented enough. The good creators have the shackles on them, but those are few and far in between compared to just the hacks
I don't understand how you make it this far in this industry
fail
while
upwards.
being so
Fail
mediocre.
upwards,
There's a common phrase for marketers. It's like, don't make marketing for marketers. Which is to say, like, don't do self-referential stuff that no one cares about.
Yes.
And these people write for themselves.
That's very interesting. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot here. Like the idea that, like when I watch movies, the stuff that I like tends to be like very like niche aspects of it. But the movie is still good. It's just that those niche aspects are the stuff that really speak to me. They're making the stuff with the niche aspects as the whole selling point for they're making it for people like them, not making it for the mass audience.
It's like they made Halo into a Dove commercial, and they're like, I wonder what happened. I wonder why no one cares.
So
it's
weird.
Like,
yep.
It's a mystery.
Do you want to read that last super chat?
Sure. C. Gooch said, curious, is your team taking on sci-fi fantasy authors and artists? And if so, how does one get in contact with your team?
Lydia might actually know more about how we...
I don't think right now we are looking for fictional authors. We are very much looking for news writers for the site. I know that we need people to write articles for journalistic articles. But if we are, you are welcome to, if we ever are, you're welcome to email jobs@timcast.com.
Are they looking for, because like we have people that write entertainment here. I don't know if that's necessarily what C. Gooch is looking for, but like
Not sure. It looks like he's wanting to write fiction.
Okay, so
yeah, so we don't have that right now.
So we will. I guess if that does come up, we can always bring that up.
Woo!
Oh.
Thank you.
Perfect.
I will say.
Another one.
Hold on one sec. I will say that with Tim's plan to culture jam, that may very well be on the agenda somewhere down the line.
Okay. All right. Mary, last one.
Caper2X says, I am still waiting for a version of Starship Troopers true to Heinlein's vision.
You're waiting a long time.
Yeah, I don't know if you're ever actually going to see it. Though that is a fantastic movie that I didn't see. Yeah. I didn't see till I was in my 20s.
I still have only seen part of it.
Yeah, like we'll watch that here sometime. That's a good one. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.